meet the need. They have a good team, but there's increased requests. There are increased requests every year. So it's moved up to 10,000 additional applications and requests that are being made to an entity that is not equipped. And you have, even though you have good people working with you, at that rhythm, it's very difficult to keep up.
Mr. Julian, please, for 2.5.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I mean, I lived through the Harper regime, which was absolutely terrible for transparency. We saw the attacks on independent officers of Parliament by slashing budgets. The current Prime Minister came to power saying that he would be moving to be open by default. The government would be open by default. And Ms. Menard, you mentioned in your annual report last year, and I quote you, "Over the course of my time as Commissioner, I've observed the steady decline of the access to information system to the point where it no longer serves its intended purpose." And you've noted both the fact that you are underfinanced for the fact of the work that you need to do on behalf of Canadians, and you've raised a whole number of recommendations that, for the moment, have not moved anywhere, including that duty to document, access to cabinet confidences, the independent funding mechanism. Would it be fair to say that without the government moving forward on all of those recommendations, that the idea of this government being open by default is simply ridiculous, given that the government has not moved to implement any of the measures that would actually bring us to a more transparent level, particularly when it comes to government procurement?
The amendments to the legislation is definitely something that needs to be done if we want to have a proper system on access to information that's modernized and respect what is going on right now in 2023. The Act was adopted in 1983, so definitely there's a modernization requirement. But there's also a change in culture within the government that needs to be happening. People needs to see transparency as a positive thing, not a negative thing. They have to look at demand access requests not as something that they want to refuse, but something that they wanted to give. And there's also a need for more tools and human resources and training in terms of responding to those access requests are increasing every year. Canadians are asking for more information, and the tools and the resources are not following, not just in my office, but all in all departments. So we need those three big changes to be able to be a government that is the leader in access in the world that we used to be in 1983.
Thank you. That is our time. We're over to you, Mr. Brock, please.
Thank you, Chair. And good afternoon, Madame Maynard. Thank you for your attendance. You spoke about the CBSA, of all the government departments, having the most active complaints. Can you drill down a little bit more with respect to that analysis and that pronouncement, and specifically how many investigations is your office currently undertaking right now with respect to the ArriveCAN issue?
With respect to the ArriveCAN issues, it's very difficult because sometimes it's not, limited to what happened or the contract, but I think that we have about around 15 to 20 cases that maybe are going to be linked to some of the issues that you're investigating here or dealing with. We have received 654 complaints this year against CBSA, and I still have 536 open complaints with respect to CBSA. Like I said earlier, a lot of them are with respect to immigration files because agents have found that they can ask CBSA information that they could have also asked RCC.
So excuse me for interrupting, but is that the ArriveCAN investigations your office is working on, is that exclusively with the CBSA or other government departments?
There could be others.
There could be others. It could be PHAC, it could be PSPC.
PSPC.
Okay, or others?
Yeah.
Relating to ArriveCAN?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you in your opening statement, you expressed a deep dissatisfaction with the evidence that you have heard from the Auditor General and some of the other pieces of evidence I'm sure your office has been made privy to. the Auditor General opined that she's more concerned as to what her report does not indicate. And the highlight there is just the vast mass of missing information. We now have evidence that we have heard in various committees that there are senior executives at the CBSA who are accused of deliberately deleting upwards to 1,700 emails over a 4-year period. And the person in question just happened to be the vice president of the CBSA and the chief information officer for the government of Canada. And he apparently is the only executive at the CBSA that had issues with his email. Does that concern you from a perspective of the ambit and responsibility that you have?
It's definitely a concern when we hear allegations like this.
I understand you ultimately, if you discover any suspicions or any evidence of criminality, you must report not to the RCMP directly, but rather the Attorney General, in this case, the Liberal Attorney General, who is not independent in the role as Minister of Justice. He is a Liberal Minister of Justice. Do you think, given all the evidence that you may or may not be aware how the Liberal team led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau actually blocked the ability of the Auditor General to even start an assessment into the audit with respect to the Arrive scam issue? Do you think, given all the efforts, all the attempts by the Liberal bench to block access to information, would you be in a position to completely bypass the Attorney General and actually report directly to Parliament so Canadians, not necessarily the Liberal government, but Canadians can be aware of your concerns? Would you have the legislative authority to report to the House?
I would, because I have the authority under the Access to Information Act to report on special reports if there's something of importance. But the referral would only be to the Attorney General, but I could definitely publicize and table a special report if I did such a referral.
And are you prepared to do such a referral?
I could, yes.
Thank you very much. Those are my questions, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Sousa, please, for 5.
Madame Maynard, thank you so much for your review and your proactive assessment of things some years back. We all share your concerns, and I really do appreciate some of your recommendations and your thoughtful manner in which you have identified some of those, how should I say, things that have gone missing, things that have not been done correctly. And it's not just you. We all have seen the Auditor General has commented on this. The Ombudsman has made recommendations. CBSA and some of the teams have done an internal review because of the same concerns that they see. And of course, your department is where a lot of complaints come. I mean, the existence of the Information Commissioner and the Commission itself is to accommodate many complaints, and that is part of the job. And I appreciate the tremendous amount of pressure that goes into that for you. You've already sort of walked us through the ATIP process with CBSA. We are all, this committee is very concerned with CBSA's activities and some of the shortcomings that have taken place. And we know some of the challenges that you've now identified and addressed. I just want to understand, have you spoken to the Auditor General in regards to your review? And have you spoken to her, given her last report?
No, I haven't.
Have you had a discussion with the Ombudsman in regards to his report and his review?
No, I haven't.
Have you spoken, and I guess you've just mentioned that you wouldn't be able to, but has the RCMP contacted you?
No.
And in all of the activities and the reviews that you've put forward, and you've certainly seen and have commented on the, how should I put this? I'll ask you, have you seen misconduct in the work that you've reviewed? Have you seen civil servants operating illegally? Has there been misconduct by people that are handling these files?
I can't conclude misconduct. I can tell you that in 6 different cases, the commission, the Office of the Commissioner's Information Commissioner, has referred files, information that we found during investigation, under the belief that there was evidence of an intention to commit a crime, and the Attorney General is responsible to continue those investigations. So, as I know, there is no finding or pursuit of these 6 cases.
So you have not reported any misconduct to the House
With
or
respect
to the
to
Attorney General?
CBSA, we're not finalized. We haven't finalized our active cases of it, so we're still investigating.
When do you anticipate finalizing your report on the CBSA?
Well, each file is independent, so it really depends. And we try to do our investigation as quickly as possible. Sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes it's a year. It really depends on the allegations and the complaints.
So the CBSA is doing a review concurrently, right? They're assessing this very issue, and you have not had discussions with them on this matter?
I cannot discuss how we are doing our investigation and what kind of conversations we are, but I can tell you generally those type of conversations would happen with respect to these files.
Would happen, but it's not happening at this point.
It may. I just can't.
I see. Okay. No. You're right. Now, I know that in this committee we do tend to discuss many things. Many members of the committee are going out of their way to investigate themselves the issues, right? So we understand there's a lot of investigations happening concurrently, and certain individuals are now becoming investigators themselves, and they're going away, talking directly with witnesses, they're talking to various matters and others that are trying to do the investigation, trying to maintain integrity in this investigation, and you have, just by your comment today, maintain integrity. And that's critical in these investigations, so as not to prejudice the outcome and preclude any activity that would then avoid us having a proper resolution. And we need a proper outcome. And